All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trading Bitcoin with your host, Vays. Coming to you live as the markets have just opened a second ago. And we are going straight to the charts. We're probably going to stick to the usual format. I don't have much to add on the political front, really, because I kind of spent the last couple of days doing taxes. And I still have a lot more to do. But after that, I'm going to start writing an article so I can put all of the links from the video description and about 100 more into a single article. All right. So sticking with the format, I will try to keep an eye on your live chat. Maybe I can make this a little more interactive. I'm going to try to keep this in total to 30 minutes, with the Bitcoin part being the first 10 minutes. So weekly chart is breaking my breakout line. That is important. And it's a green star candle. The week has started off really strong. Today is only Tuesday. We are into the second day of the week, and it's looking very strong so far. This bounce has just happened very, very recently. The Consensus chart, this is incredibly tricky, right? So here's the thing, right? I kind of only edit this chart while I am on a live stream. And the challenge is, of course, as you guys know, I was waiting for these moving averages to cross. And I knew they would cross the moment the current candle started trading. The question was, would this current candle start trading and go down, or the current candle start trading and go up? The moment this candle starts trading and goes up, you know these moving averages are in a serious crossover. The problem is you just hit resistance of the long-term moving average on the Consensus chart. Either way, it is time to go to cash because we can't take unnecessary risk, and we will stay in cash until the situation completely changes. That is the Consensus trading model. So the moment this candle started going up somewhere here, you know that the moving averages have crossed. Two of them are rising. They are crossed. The price is above both of them. The only things that are missing is price being above the long-term moving average, the long-term moving average being below the other moving averages, and the long-term moving average needs to be rising. All of that could reverse sometime next month. It's not going to reverse this month. That's for damn sure. Now, the other issue with this chart is that we are on a daily MRI top, which is generally an area where markets should be pulling back. I also said yesterday that because we started pulling back 2 days ago, that this MRI top is more inclined to be leading to more upside than some significant downside. I want to make this a little bit bigger so that the arrow is bigger. Okay, now the day is not yet over. There is nothing stopping today from going all the way up to $44,000. Okay, nothing stopping it from going all the way up to 44,000 just on today. But it is still an MRI top, and it is still needs to be respected because the price movement from the lows are a bit exhausted, and you have double resistance coming up at $44,500. So I'm expecting this to be serious resistance. It's not a shorting opportunity in my view. I prefer to go with trend instead of trying to pick tops and bottoms unless they're absolutely perfect. And this one isn't absolutely perfect. So I am still considering this area to be a rejection area. Hopefully, this rejection area will only take Bitcoin down to the $41,000 area and not lower. I don't want to see Bitcoin fall below the middle of this horizontal channel ever again. Because if it does, that could lead to some serious problems. Going up and hitting the 128-day moving average, then pulling back to the 50-period moving average plus center of the channel is not the end of the world. So that's what I'm looking at. And until Bitcoin proves itself above $44,500, it's not that interesting to me of going all out long. It's basically that simple. Here is the 1 hour chart. The 1 hour chart is on a double top. And that's generally a situation that is likely to be broken to the upside. So like I said, as far as today is concerned, you still have like 8 hours to go, 10 hours to go in the daily candle, 10.5 hours to go. And we can easily break 44,000 today before the actual pullback. But even if we do break 44,000 today, you got to keep in mind how far Bitcoin has gone in a short amount of time. Again, the MRI trend. We have gone $6,000 in price movement for 15% in basically the span that takes you from the start of the MRI trend to the end of the MRI trend. Okay. That's it. That's my Bitcoin view. Now, come to the Financial Summit in the Dominican Republic, where we do nothing but talk finance with very sophisticated traders and investors for a little while. Those of you that still haven't seen the videos from Unconfiscatable, go to unconfiscatable.com. We're going to break these up into individual videos. I got to find out what the status is on that, and we'll get that up on the Unconfiscatable YouTube channel. You know, once the conference ends, there's really not much motivation to just keep going. I'm probably going to, the Tone Vays Instagram. Am I at 10,000 followers yet? No, I've dropped. I don't really do much on Instagram, so actually lost 200. That's okay. I don't really post that much. I have to do stories. I don't really do too many posts, so I don't really. We can close that. Unconfiscatable YouTube channel. Probably it's me closing some tabs. I'm gonna start working through these tabs as I start, writing articles. Some of these tabs are COVID related. I need to just finish that thread on the COVID medical tyranny. That would help. The premium on GBTC, like I've been saying, once GBTC starts popping to the upside, you will see this premium evaporate. That's what I am still expecting. Now, if you want to support, check out tonevays.com, products and services. There is a free learn trading section. I'm going to start writing up my thoughts on the Ukraine situation to the blog. The last time I wrote something for the blog was 2 years ago, September of 2020. That was a long time ago. I had some time during, COVID lockdowns to write some stuff up. That's what I did. These articles take me months to write in general. I don't know how I'm going to write the Ukraine one quickly. I'm not a very good writer. I'm a very slow writer, and I'm completely dyslexic when it comes to English. And I'm completely dyslexic when it comes to English, not because English is my second language. I was dyslexic in writing and reading Russian as well when I was, which was my first language. Writing and reading have always been a challenge. I would much rather read a chemistry textbook or a physics textbook or a math textbook than a novel. And that applies to any novel, including like 1984 and Animal Farm, which I listened to on tape because I would just never be able to get through the book. Which is why, speaking of books, and is it in my notes? I don't want to go to my Amazon account, which is why my favorite book in Bitcoin, ironically, is, oh wait, I can just go grab the book. Hold on, because I have it in my bag. 1 second. Speaking of books, I know I'm getting off tangents again. Because I just came back from Unconfiscatable, so the book's still, book's in my bag. So, stop screen share real quick. Which is why my favorite book in Bitcoin is Bitcoin Clarity, because it reads more like a textbook than a novel. Okay, Saifedean's book reads more like a novel. I had to listen to it on tape. I did not read Saifedean's book. I heard it on tape. Now, Jimmy Song's Programming Bitcoin book, I would be able to read if I was interested in programming, which I'm not anymore. I was a terrible programmer back when I was a programmer. So I didn't read that one, but I would have an easier time reading programming Bitcoin than something like even those small ones, even like Jimmy's small ones. I mean, those I did. Those are tiny. But this right here, this is a combination of textbook and novel, which is why I was able to read this one. But reading novels is not something I can actually do, which is why I listen to them on tape. I read blogs. I can read blogs. Give me 3 to 5 pages and I can read that. Anything beyond that, I need it on tape. I need it on voice. I'll listen to it on a YouTube video. But anything longer than that, I kind of lose interest and get distracted. All right, we can talk about the Great Reset after I finish the market stuff. Okay, charts. I need to go back to screen share. Oil, as you guys know, I am bullish on the price of oil, regardless of the military conflict. I'm also bullish on the price of gold, regardless of the military conflict, though, of course, the military conflict will speed up the rise in commodities. The stock market is rising and breaking a borderline critical line. To be honest, that line is not all that critical. I mean, I should make it a range, right? I'm not going to delete the line. We need to break the prior swing high. We need to break the MRI resistance line. And we're going to have another MRI daily top coming up. We're also on a weekly MRI buy situation. So again, probably stupid of me to put that little 20% short on Bitcoin. Not leveraged, of course, because of this weekly MRI buy. I mean, like the market was telling me what's going to happen in the stock market. And we know that Bitcoin is correlated to the stock market. So that was completely dumb. And right here, this told us exactly what's going to happen. And that's it. We're keeping an eye on the ruble. The ruble is appreciating a little bit this morning. If the ruble goes below, appreciates to below 95 rubles per dollar, that is a pretty significant economic victory for Russia. The ruble is supposed to be imploding so that the Russian people rebel against the government for the atrocities in Ukraine. But if the Russian ruble is not imploding, that significantly diminishes the uprising in Russia. Also, if the Russian shelves are not empty, I know Russia is supposed to be cutting off YouTube and Facebook and Instagram for reasons we can discuss later. And of course, that's going to get the people very angry and upset. But there are alternatives that I am also very interested in pursuing further. I am taking the summer off to restructure the Vays business model, which is time to restructure the Vays business model. I don't know exactly how yet, but I will be spending time looking into that. The Turkish lira is, wow, in trouble. Man, remember when we were discussing the hyperwave and the disaster of the Turkish lira, even back with like Tyler Jenks back in here? Remember that? And that was interesting, right? Because Tyler Jenks saw the Turkish lira as a hyperwave, and I did not. And my reasoning for that was because currencies don't go into hyperinflation and then suddenly strengthen back to default. Like that doesn't happen. I remember in 2018, when we were talking about what a crazy time it is for the Turkish lira to go all the way to 7 lira per US dollar. Look at it now. Let's go to the monthly chart. Let's look at the Turkish lira. Look at this. Look at this. And there still hasn't been, an uprising and a regime change in Turkey, considering what's happened to the Turkish lira. So those that are, expecting it from Russia, I mean, it's wow. I mean, in right here, Turkish lira went from, 2018 wasn't that long ago. From 2018 until now, so in 4 years, Turkish lira went from 4 to pretty much 16. So it lost 80% of its value. Lost 80% of its value. That's crazy. So my mouse is kind of messing up. Weird. Okay, shoot. What's wrong with my mouse? Hold on. I'm having a mouse issue. Okay. I put on charger and suddenly working properly again. So yeah, nuts. What about the Ukrainian currency? So did you guys see the news today? Ukraine announced that they would be doing universal basic income for Ukrainians, and but you have to be vaccinated to do it. So it doesn't matter that you're in a war zone. Vaccines take priority. Like for you, it's irrelevant that you can die from a bullet, but you vaccinate. That's what matters. You have to be vaccinated. And if you're vaccinated in Ukraine as a Ukrainian, they will give you, I think, 6,000 Ukrainian hryvnia. So you can do the math. I don't know if it's 6,000 a month or a week. I'm guessing a month. So you do 6,000 divided by 30. So you drop a 0, and then you take 6 divided by 3, you get 2. So you get $200 a month, about $200 a month as your universal basic income if you get vaccinated. This is the World Economic Forum plan, and Ukraine is executing the first country to do so. Okay. Well, I'm pretty much done. You made the comment frequently that once that Bitcoin takes off, the GBTC premium will evaporate. We just rose 15%, though, and the premium is so far underwater. It's not like the premium went up 5%, right? So here, let's go back to GBTC. Where is GBTC? Right. So let's zoom in. Okay. So the price goes up 15%. Well, let's go. In 4 days, the price went up 15%. In the same 4 days, GBTC premium went up 3 points for 10%. Okay. So let's extrapolate that, right? And I think this is kind of exponential, right? The more days in a row Bitcoin rises, the more GBTC premium rises. So here's another example. Bitcoin goes up. I'm going to use closing prices. I need to use closing prices, not intraday prices. So Bitcoin goes up 42%, right? What does the premium do? The premium goes up 20%. And it made up 5 points. Okay. Now you can say, well, wait a minute. But look how it went up at the end, right? Like, look at the more days in a row Bitcoin rises, the steeper it'll go, right? So here's a 25% rise in the price. and a 15% rise in GBTC premium, right? So when I had it here, right, GBTC premium was up 20%. When I had it here, the price of Bitcoin was up over 40%, right? So you see how a very quick move in the price of Bitcoin creates a big move in the price of GBTC premium. But remember, Bitcoin can go up and up and up, right? GBTC premium can also go up and up and up, but it just has to get above zero, all right? So I expect GBTC premium to evaporate if the price of Bitcoin, say, breaks out. We'll use GBTC. It breaks out above this range. GBTC breaks out above $33. And let me zoom this out. And quickly rises to, say, back to the top. So here's what it means for the price of Bitcoin. In the price of Bitcoin, and I'm going to use the monthly chart, it means Bitcoin breaks out above 45,000 and quickly rises to back to the top, say 60,000. So 35 back to 60 or 65, back to the top of the overall large channel. The quicker it does this, the quicker GBTC premium will evaporate. Okay, because it's supply and demand. There's X number of GBTC shares, and new GBTC shares are unlikely to get created, especially get created quickly. And that's why they're just going to run out of GBTC shares for the people that are trying to buy them. And in that environment, I expect the premium to get back to zero. Now, would it get into the major positive range? Probably unlikely. But once it gets back to zero, and I do expect it to break above zero, going forward, because of other futures ETFs on the general American stock market, I expect the GBTC premium go above within a 5% range up and down. Because then arbitrage can actually come in, okay? Not to mention people have alternatives to buy in and out. I'm going to delete these things, right? So I do expect, and that's what I'm waiting for. I'm going to keep looking at this chart until the premium goes above zero, and then once it starts oscillating around zero in a 5% band, GBTC will no longer be interesting to anyone ever again. Unless Barry Silbert can create the first spot ETF by converting GBTC into a spot ETF. But he needs to do it when it's at a 0% premium, not negative, not positive. Because if he does it now, anyone holding GBTC shares would sue him and demand that he pay this back because he has the Bitcoin, unless he's been hacked, which I don't believe that he has. All right, that's it. There's really nothing else to add for me. Any questions? I'm looking at the live chat. Wow, if you guys don't know what I did before Bitcoin, you haven't been watching my channel very well. Thoughts on Alan Greenspan? Well, not much. I mean, like that's like 40 years ago. Why does it why does it matter? Greenspan raised rates because he had to raise rates. Inflation was running rampant. The US government was not in debt like it is now. So he can raise rates to, 30, 40, 50. It was good if you had a savings account. All right, guys, I'm gonna keep this video short. I don't have any, maybe I'll bring Mechanic on. I'm gonna tweet out a bunch of stuff on COVID. Maybe today. I still have to finish my taxes, and then I'll do the COVID stuff. And then starting tomorrow, what do you think about Hunter's laptop? I don't understand why the laptop story is now. The laptop story was during the election. I knew about Hunter's. Okay. There's also a question about my shirts. So I custom make these shirts, and I'll tell you where I custom make them. I'm sure he'll be happy. I got to go to Instagram. All right, and then we're going to talk about Hunter's laptop. Here, I'll go back to screen share. Oh, nope, wrong one. Shoot. I got to go to my Instagram. And then I can find it. All right, I'm on my Instagram. We can search. There it is. All right, so when I was in Thailand, I stopped by. I was recommended someone that attended one of my workshops recommended that when I'm in Phuket, stop by Anthony's boutique and get a suit made. So I did. And while I was there making my suit, I had a bunch of shirts done. And then during the pandemic, he sent me all the colors and the fabrics, and I just sat around and I designed them all. And I got them. So some of my shirts are actually here. I'll go to the top so you guys can see that. There it is. That's my shirt. That's one of mine. I designed this one. I have this one. It's one of my favorite shirts. I'm sure you guys seen it on videos and stuff. So that's my shirt. But I chose the fabrics, the colors, and where each color goes. So I sat around for 2 days, making all these crazy notes, and then using my favorite application that has ever existed called Paint. And then he made a bunch of them for me. He had others. Anyway. But yeah, so for the person that asked where my shirts came from, I don't even know if they're open, right? He may still be kind of open, but there's no tourism in Thailand. But yeah, if you want to follow Anthony_boutique_Phuket, that is where my shirts came from. There's a video of Willy Woo. Willy Woo came with me to the store. We were in Thailand together. Yeah, that's what the store looks like. It's in Coron Beach in Phuket. I like that area, the Kata area and the Coron area. I really want to go back to Phuket. Oh, that's one of mine as well. There's also one of my creations. I recognize them because they're in my closet. This one is mine. This one is mine. This one's mine. This is what I'm wearing. Actually, I'm not wearing this one. I'm wearing a slightly different one. This was the original. This was the second version that I did. I'm wearing the very original from 2018. No, this is me. This is me in Microsoft Paint. This is me deciding which fabrics go where. He posted it. These were the images that I sent them, which fabric to put where. Cool. There they are. All right. What are we talking about? Stop screen share. What was I talking about? Oh, Hunter's laptop. Look, I knew about Hunter's laptop during the election for Biden. And I know the media killed the story. I knew about Hunter's laptop. I knew about the atrocities that he did in Ukraine. I knew about his business in Ukraine, and I even knew why he was out there along with other prominent kids of American politicians, basically raping the Ukrainian economy by working with the gas companies. Like, I know those backstories. And I knew back then, 2 years ago, that Hunter Biden's laptop had a bunch of child porn on it. This was obvious. Well, like we like those that paid attention knew this story. I didn't know there were pictures of Obama's daughter on there, but that's a new one we all learned recently. But yeah, and I knew that Hunter Biden was a criminal, and but it doesn't matter, right? Again, it's what you guys have to realize, and we've talked about this before. Politicians, lifelong career politicians, and we have to put the Bush family in there as well. Like as I've told you before, I prefer Republicans to Democrats because to me, Democrats are communists. At least Republicans have a chance at capitalism. But half of the Republicans are almost as bad as the Democrats. Now, George Bush, mostly junior, somewhat senior, are potentially more evil than your average Democrat. Like your average Democrat is way more evil than your average Republican, in my view. But Republicans, but it's always a even distribution, and Republicans have like fat tails, right? Where there are Republicans like George Bush Jr. that are more evil than most Democrats that have taken the presidency. But then there are the other spectrum of Republicans that are significantly less evil, a lot less evil than your average Democrat. And very few of them have ever made it to be president. Like guys like Ron Paul, and we have a few right now, very few, like his son Rand Paul, and people like that. I think Cynthia Lummis, I think, is really good. There's a couple of others. The governor of South Dakota, she's really good. I really like Senator Ron Johnson because of his COVID views. And then you have someone like Trump, who I don't believe is evil at all. I know the society has made him out to be, Putin, basically, but he's not. So you have these tales where you have really evil Republicans like Bush and not evil Republicans like Trump, who did not start any wars. But the Democrats are just, generally, well, Marxists. There's no other way to put it. They're Marxists. So where was I going with this? So this generally applies to the Democrats and the Marxists. But I have to always put an asterisk that Bush family is worse than the average Democrat. And to them, because they are acting for a higher power, the evil that they do is all for the greater good. So the greater good of Joe Biden becoming president is so much more important than anything atrocious that his son has ever done. This is irrelevant because the greater good of getting rid of Trump and putting in Biden is on such a higher spiritual level of greatness that the little things that Hunter Biden has done are generally irrelevant. This is their thinking. They don't see this. They don't see the moral issue with what Hunter Biden has done. This applies to the New York Times. This applies to the Washington Post. This applies to Facebook and Zuckerberg. They don't have a problem with them. They don't have a moral problem with the atrocities in Hunter Biden's laptop, because that could potentially give us Trump for 4 more years. And the greater good of getting rid of Trump is so much more greatness that what Hunter Biden did doesn't matter. Okay, this is their thinking. This is their thinking. And anyone who voted for Biden is also of that same thinking, because the Hunter Biden laptop and what was on it was known in 2020 before the election. Again, not some details, but I didn't really look into it. But 80% of what you will find out about Hunter's laptop, you should have known before voting for Biden. That's all I'm going to say. Like, what else is there to say? All right, let me look at your comments. Well, GBTC is not a scam. GBTC was the closest thing the US government allowed to do for Bitcoin. At first, I was really critical of GBTC, but then Tyler Jenks convinced me that I'm wrong. So that's my general thought on Hunter Biden's laptop. Why is it a story now? It should have been a story during the election. It's irrelevant now. Who the fuck cares? It's an irrelevant story. You know why it's an irrelevant story? Because Biden is your president. So it's an irrelevant story. Unless you're into child porn, you really want to see those pictures. All right. Hey, Tom, do you think China will invade Taiwan soon? I noticed the U.S. plans to build anti-China missile network along first island chains. No, I don't think they're going to invade it soon. I think it's similar to Russia. I mean, Russia could have invaded Ukraine the way they invaded Georgia in 2008. Why didn't they? Why didn't Russia show its force and invaded Ukraine in 2008 alongside Georgia? Or I mean, they probably didn't want to split their forces. But after Georgia was over by 2009, why didn't they do it then? Why did Russia wait 12 more years to do it? Well, 14 more years to do it. Why did they wait? They waited because let me not get myself in more trouble. One of the reasons why they waited is because they tried to find a political solution to it without, killing Ukrainians. That's my opinion. That's why they didn't do it. That's why they didn't do it in 2009, 10, 11, 12, even 14. After they took Crimea, that was, relatively, I mean, a few people died in the Crimea annexation by Russia. A lot less people than in the riots, the peaceful riots in the US, the peaceful protests. But why didn't they invade then? And because they kept trying to find a diplomatic solution until they gave up. So China, I believe, is in a similar position. Plus, they're waiting to see what happens with Russia. They're waiting to see how the Russia thing plays out. China also doesn't want to start a military conflict with the US right now for multiple reasons. One, China continues to strengthen. Two, I think that China is trying to just capture Taiwan from within. just infiltrate Taiwan, and kind of the way the US overthrows political regimes they don't like. They kind of do it from within. I think China will try to do that with Taiwan as well, so that they don't have to send in their military, specifically their navy, because the Chinese navy hasn't existed in like, I don't know, 1,000 years. So I don't know if they've never really, the Chinese have never really gone to this kind of war before. So I don't know if they want to test it now. And the US is just eating itself. Like the US is just destroying itself, right? So like, why fight your enemy? And for the China, the US is certainly their enemy. Why fight your enemy now while they're still strong if they're basically eating themselves to death, basically? So it's like you wait for the US to implode. And the US is doing that fine on its own. I still believe the US will split into multiple countries, and that would be the perfect time for China to take Taiwan. I mean, like, why would they rush? Why would they rush? Now, if the US politicians continue to do stupid shit and pull themselves into a hot war with Russia, exhausting their military resources, then yeah, China might just take Taiwan. Because the US can't fight two wars at the same time. The US cannot fight Russia and China on separate fronts. They can't. US doesn't have the resources. And good luck trying to get the American public in on it. Right? So all the people that right now are anti-war, 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 Putin's the devil, anti-war, we can't have wars. What are these people going to say if China starts taking Taiwan? Are we going to say, let's go to war? But I thought you were anti-war. Why are you going to war? Right? It's these potentially hypocritical positions of mostly of the left. Oh, did you guys see this? Hold on. I gotta show one thing. Hold on. You're either anti-war or you're pro-war, right? So if China takes Taiwan, how many Americans are gonna want to go to war? Of course, there'd be false flags, right? False flags are everywhere. False flags got us into several wars already. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I gotta show you guys one graphic. It was insane. Like I wasn't even sure it was real. Okay, so where am I going? I'm going to. I have a. Here, this. But now I have to open this graphic. I have to save the graphic. I guess I can copy the graphic and open it in my favorite application, which is Microsoft Paint. It's kind of small. I'm gonna have to zoom in on this. Okay. Should I zoom in more? Yeah, here we go. Yep, you can see it all. Let's do it. Screen share. There it is. All right. So look at this. This is a Canadian poll. It's a Canadian poll of whether the West should intervene in Russia versus Ukraine. And they categorize people. Like, this seems insane to me. How vaccinated are you, right? So the blue people have been triple vaxxed, and the orange people are unvaxxed. I would love to see, partially vaxxed people in this. So the more vaccine shots you had, the more anti-Russia you are. Like, how insane is this poll, right? So if you've been triple vaxxed, if you've been triple jabbed, you want to impose economic sanctions on Russia. You want to freeze assets of Russian rich people and Putin. You want to cut off oil shipments from Russia. So you want to go into a dark age. You want to send military. You want to go fight the war against Russia. You want to provide additional loans. You want to put yourself in debt for Ukraine. You want to provide all kinds of military assistance to Ukraine. And you want to dispatch the military and get your people killed to go into Ukraine. If you had 3 shots, that is your view. If you did not vaccinate, you want none of the above, 52%. Okay, like this disparity is insane, right? Also, if you've been triple jabbed, you have an opinion on the situation on the other side of the world that you probably knew nothing about. If you did not get the jab, you are 15% more likely. Well, not 15% more likely. You are 6 times less likely to have an opinion on something you don't understand. Like this poll is insane, absolutely insane. And you guys know what I think about people that are getting triple and quadruple jab. Unless you're doing it to, like, you know, save your job or save your family, then you have no choice. I'm going to leave this on here for like a little bit longer. It's insane. Okay. Any other? Did you see China-Russia joint declaration of friendship? I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. Invite Professor John Merschmeyer for a chat. I'd love to. I'd love to get him on the show. I'd love to get Coach Red Pill on the show too. He actually DM'd. I've been trying to get a hold of him. I got one DM from him, but then I replied and I haven't heard back yet. But I'm also not like, I'm not like an interviewer anymore. It's just a lot of effort. Like, I don't want to be chasing people. Like, I need like an assistant to constantly, you know, text Professor Merschmeyer. I need like someone assistant to constantly, like, you know, text Gonzalo Liro. I may have someone from the Mexican government on my show because of their interest in Bitcoin. But someone else is organizing that for me. Can I link the poll? No, I can't. Like, I only have a screenshot of it. I can't. But there's a right here. There's a URL here. I'm assuming that's the poll. I can't link it. I don't know where it came from. I just saw a screenshot of it. There is a source, EK something. I can't see it. Right. Like, I mean, I'm sure if you Google how should Canada respond to Ukraine invasion, vaccinated versus, I'm sure if you Google it, you'll find the source. I mean, come on, guys, you're resourceful. You can find, you can validate this. No, I don't have a link to this, guys. Tone, do you think you might be able to conduct a time analysis for world political events? No, go read Martin Armstrong. That's not my specialty. Go read Martin Armstrong's blog. Try not to pay too much attention to his understanding of Bitcoin and blockchain, but I read him for politics. It's good. I mean, not all conspiracy theories are proven true. The ones that make sense are generally true. The conspiracy theory that was going around that it was fire-breathing termites that took down 9/11 is probably not going to come true. I'm sorry. Repression against Crimean Tatars in Crimea. After invasion in 2014, nobody dies in Crimea past 8 years, really. I didn't say nobody dies. I said some people died, but it was significantly less, significantly more peaceful than peaceful American protests. Right? Remember this? Here. Copy. Paste. Who remembers this? That's real. This is not Photoshop. This is real. You can still see the video of the fiery but most peaceful protests after a police shooting. This is not Photoshop, guys. This was live on CNN with that headline and that reporter like that. How dangerous is it now becoming to speak the truth on social media? Well, in America, it's not that dangerous. I mean, they're not going to come knocking on your door and arrest you, but they will cut you off from like mainstream media. But here's the thing, right? The more prominent people get censored on mainstream media, the sooner Facebook and YouTube and go away, right? Like the moment I'm banned from Twitter, I will start using the other platforms more. Joe Rogan, the moment he's banned from Twitter, he's going to start using other platforms more. The U.S. industry is eating itself. Bro, trying to act like you're low-key rich while bragging about it here is cringe. What, my custom shirts, my Thai custom shirts that cost $50? Come on. My custom shirt that cost me $50 that I made in 2017 or 2018 that I still wear is bragging about being rich? You guys are a joke. You guys are a joke. I go to the middle of Thailand to get my shirts. That shows you how rich I am. That's hilarious. Oh, it wasn't directed at me. Okay, cool. Yeah, did you see that one story, by the way? Some crypto guy that was flaunting his fancy watch got shot in New York for the watch. Did you guys see that story? Hold on. I'll pull it up. Yeah, here. It's in the greatest publication ever created, the New York Post, which is always accurate. New York City Tourist Shot over a 6-figure watch is a crypto expert and lifestyle guru. So basically, this guy, a crypto expert and lifestyle guru, had a very fancy watch. And he bragged about his watch on social media and then decided to come to the safety of New York City, which under its last two Democratic mayors has done an incredible job of keeping people safe. And he gets shot in the legs and the groin as he was getting out of his Uber, because he was just being profiled the whole way through, and they knew where he was coming and they knew where he was staying because of his Instagram account to take the watch. When Willie? Probably when his newsletter ends. Willie is like taking down his newsletter. In about a month, I'll ask him to come on after. In 2014, Ukraine has neutral status at all, and why Russians begin to invade us. What's reason was in 2014? Well, have you watched the first video in my video description? The first video of my video description, right here. It says, this is the video, Why Ukraine is the West's Fault, featuring John Merschmeyer. This presentation is from September 2015, and he explains very well why Russia took Crimea in 2014 after the regime change from Yanukovych to an interim president to then Poroshenko. So if you want to understand why that happened, you have to watch this 2015 presentation. He'll explain it better than I can. Tone, what are your thoughts on a 10-year yield? Not much. I mean, the rate will stay somewhat low. Yeah, Carl from the Moon needs to be careful if he's going to come to New York or LA. Miami is a little better. Miami takes their security seriously. New York doesn't, right? Like, remember, New York put in a law that a police officer cannot intervene until the criminal has done harm to you, right? So did you guys read about this law? So if some guy has a gun pointed at you, asking you for money, police technically can't do anything until he shoots you. That's the new law in New York. Have fun. Good luck. This is why most of us moved out. Where is that? I can go. I'm gonna Google it on the monitor. Hold on. New York City police can't intervene till crime, till you get shot, basically. It's hard to find the right headline. It's hard to Google for this. Man. Hold on. I'm also still using DuckDuckGo, which has a terrible search engine. It's absolutely terrible. I mean, it's good for privacy and it was good for neutrality, but now it's not good for neutrality anymore. I'm almost going back to Google, right? I'm sorry, DuckDuckGo search engine. It's like when you're actually looking for something, you know what you're looking for. It's very hard to find it on DuckDuckGo. Yeah, it's hard to yeah. Like basically, the police aren't going to intervene until there is a violent crime. So if someone has like if someone is pointing a gun or a knife at you and they haven't actually hurt you, that's not a violent crime. A robbery is not a violent crime. Like basically, it's a. I mean, I read that bill. It was insane. So the comment is, I am Ukrainian. I can explain better than this professor. Probably not. I'm saying probably not definitely not. Official reason for Russia on moment of 2014, changing or government, it's our internal deal. Well, if your internal deal is completely manipulated by the Western politicians and Western media, it's not only your deal, and you can potentially have been brainwashed into doing something, right? And since Ukraine is on the border of Russia, it matters to Russia. Just like if Russia was to overthrow the Canadian elected government and replace it with literally a Russian in the office, America would care about it. So the overthrow of what's his name? The overthrow of no, they put in Yanukovych, to put in Lukashenko. The overthrow of Yanukovych mattered to Russia a great deal. I know you don't care. As a Ukrainian, you don't care what Russia thinks. But for Russia, they don't actually care what you think. This is the misconception. This is the problem. This has always been the problem. In this, this disaster in Ukraine, the problem is the giant problem is that Ukraine feels that Russia shouldn't care what they do, and Russia doesn't care what Ukraine thinks about that, right? And no one is interested in a peaceful solution to this problem. Absolutely, a live chat, guys. Every country can care about and tell. Look, every country can do whatever it likes, but they have to face the consequences of those decisions. And in the case of Ukraine, their decisions have consequences of pissing off Russia. So all Ukrainian political decisions need to, someone in those offices making those decisions, making the geopolitical decisions in Ukraine, someone at that meeting needs to say, shouldn't we care what Russia might think about this? Because they are a serious nation on our border. If no one brings up this topic, then this is what happens. I mean, I don't know how else I can explain it. In the most simplest possible way, like to a fifth grader. Like you are free to make your own choices and decisions, but other people can, your decisions will make other people do stuff. I mean, when you're in school and I doubt anyone watching was the biggest, strongest kid in school. And if you're in school and the biggest, strongest kid in the school happens to be a bully, you are free to, stand in front of him as he's trying to walk, get in his face and make fun of him. And then, like, what do you think is going to happen? Yeah, see, Belarus is a very interesting situation. Belarus is a very interesting situation. By the way, Belarus has a military alliance with Russia. So if NATO enters the fighting, if NATO starts fighting against Russia, Belarus has to send in their forces, and good luck, Poland. That's all I'm going to say. Belarus has not entered. Like, Belarus just gave passage to Russian soldiers. Belarus, so as far as I know, Belarusian military is not in Ukraine. But they will be in Ukraine if NATO enters, right? Because they have a military alliance with Russia. So big A, I like how Russia is the aggressor, but it's Ukraine's fault. Hey, it's your fault. I punched you in the face because you didn't move your face. I mean, you can like or don't like whatever. I mean, it's whatever floats your boat, right? Like whatever peels your banana. That's not how the world works, and that's not how society works, right? See, like this is the same situation, right? Like if a guy is beating his wife and he always says, well, she asked for it, like she did something wrong, she burned my toast and she deserved it. So obviously that's wrong and despicable, right? The difference between a husband beating his wife for no reason, saying she made me do it, is that the wife or the girlfriend has the ability to leave. Last I checked, Ukraine can't leave the border of Russia, right? So, like, here's the reality that you don't understand. Now, also in the case of a husband or a boyfriend beating their spouse and saying they made me do it, there's also, police and other factors that could come in and remove the beater from the situation. Neither of these things are true in this case, right? So one, Ukraine can't get up and leave like a girlfriend or a wife being abused. That's one problem. And the second problem is no one is strong enough to, put Russia in prison, like in the case of, a husband beating his wife because she burned toast. So because of those two realities, decisions by Ukraine need to take Russia into account. Or we can sit here on social media and condemn Russia. Okay, that's fine. I condemn Russia. It's not changing the situation one bit. Like it's not going to change anything, right? I agree, Stan. This makes an honest conversation impossible. It makes an honest conversation impossible. There's one side, one side. Either you try to kill Putin, or you're a Russian propagandist and a Putin apologist. That's it. Those are the only two options. Right. So Dmitro, so unless you build a technology that would allow like the landmass of Ukraine to get up and actually leave to, say, next to Australia, like unless you invent that kind of technology, the decisions by the Ukrainian politicians need to consider what Russia wants. Because you can't move your country to another part of the planet. What about those Chechens? I don't know. What about those Chechens? Chechens are, Chechnya is like a Muslim area in South Russia that's somewhat close to like where Georgia and Azerbaijan are. Azerbaijan is a Muslim country. The Republic of Georgia is this non-Muslim region surrounded by Muslim regions. It's really interesting. Well, Albania isn't as well, but. I'm sorry, Ukraine can't build your army strong. You don't have the economy for that. Ukraine is by far the poorest nation in all of Europe. You don't have the money. You don't have the economy. The corruption is out of control. Ukraine cannot build a military to compete with Russia. You can't, right? A country needs to find a way to deal with their neighbors in best way they can, Small example, Republic of Georgia. Sorry, I'm Armenian, Albania, my bad. So the Republic of Georgia is surrounded by Muslim countries. So what do? Right? They grow beef and they grow lamb, and they sell it to the Muslim nations around them. What do Georgians eat? Georgians eat pork. They're the best at pork. Like, if you eat pork, there's no greater pork than in the Republic of Georgia. Like, it will, if you are okay eating pork, but you never like the taste of pork, going to Georgia will change your mind, okay? They are working with their Muslim neighbors, and they are saying, we will make money by selling you non-pork animal products, which you can eat, and we will eat the pork. That's an example of working with your neighbors for a better economic future. All right. Anyway, we had enough chat. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. And I will see you all on the next one. Bye, guys.